Well, hello and welcome. You are going to be joining us on a journey, and you didn't even have to pack. So if you've wanted to travel this year but couldn't because of coronavirus, you are in luck. My name is Derek Sciba, and I'm part of the team at World Vision Ignite. And I will be the host of this webinar, and I'm thrilled to have you with us. And I've seen in the chat screen and have noted some friends from across the country already here in the webinar, so welcome. People who are interested in this see world engagement as part of their call as a Christian. And I've had the honor of spending time with these like-minded individuals at some of your schools. I see Ben Dykehouse on the webinar right now, was just at Ontario Christian a few weeks ago. And I'm so impressed with the education that you are providing to young people, and to show young people that engagement with other people, especially people in need, people who are not like us, is a critical part of what it means to be a Christian and to live out our call. So thank you for everything that you are doing. And I think of what we are a part of at World Vision Ignite as centering people on the idea of the greatest commandment, to love God and love our neighbors as ourselves. It's so simple to think about, and it's yet so significant. It changes everything in life if you really put this into action. And it honestly seems kind of countercultural today. So World Vision Ignite brings together academics, engagement experiences, and relationships. And it brings into clarity this idea of creating global leaders with a biblical worldview. We want to make it real for young people. And core to Ignite is the idea of relationship. In Ignite, students are in relationship with someone across the world, someone who is a child like them, a person living across the world who's having a much different life experience, but someone they could know and grow to appreciate and become friends with and even love and communicate with. Because when we are in real relationships with people, it becomes not an issue of just poverty as something to solve, but this is something that impacts their friend. And that makes all the difference when we truly know and love another person. So if you are joining us live, this is a webinar, and I invite you to open up your chat window there and let me know where you are watching from. Right now, I am joining you from my dining room in Seattle, Washington, taking over the kitchen table. A few feet away is our new puppy, about 3 months old, so hopefully he will stay quiet. I believe he's sleeping right now. And I think my daughter is logging into her art class right now, at least she should be. So let's see, San Diego, California. Houston, hello, Nathan. And Whittier Christian High School, Joseph, thank you for joining us. And Jenny in Plano. So thank you so much for everybody who is tuning in from across the country. And it's just a pleasure and an honor to have you here with us. So, as you may have heard in the promotions for this, we are going on a journey. And our destination today is Honduras. And although I have traveled across the world, this is one place where I've not had the pleasure of visiting in person, but I am thrilled to be able to visit Honduras, at least virtually. And with any great trip, you need a guide to bring you along on this journey. And we are blessed to have Johnny Lopez with us today as our guide on this journey. He is hello, Johnny. Hello. One of my colleagues at World Vision Honduras. Johnny brings almost a decade of experience at World Vision, a degree in business, master's in marketing. He spent years helping sponsor kids. And now Johnny connects people across the world into these experiences with this work happening in Honduras. How are you doing today, Johnny?
I'm good. I'm very excited to be here. And well, I just want to say thank you for inviting me and having me here. And a big shout out and a big hug from Honduras to everyone that is connected here today.
Thank you. Yes. And it's great to see you and to get to know you as we were preparing for this. And I have one dog. Johnny has 7 dogs, a soccer fan. Johnny, we have worked together to prepare several video segments. I'm glad to see we at least have your dog in this one. What's the name of this dog? Is Luna, is that right?
That's right. That's Luna. She's the baby.
The baby, and gets pampered as she's the one that gets to come inside of all your rescue dogs.
Yes, that's for sure.
Nice. But before we get going with some pre-recorded stuff that we have of showing video from across the country, I want to talk about what's been going on in Honduras. This has actually been a pretty rough month and a half. November in particular was brutal. First Hurricane Eta and then Iota. These are big hurricanes, Category 4 hurricanes. And this is affecting 4.2 million people in Honduras. That's about half the country, as you are well aware, Johnny.
Yes.
What was this like for you?
Well, Derek, actually, I was out there last week, and it's just heartbreaking, you know. I went out and supporting our emergency response team. And for me personally, it was very shocking to see places I've been before washed out by the storms, you know, entire communities, streets, houses, and even the airport. I managed to talk up with some people that they were living on the street. And it's very, like I was mentioning, it's very heartbreaking. They don't have any food. They lost everything. And many families right now, unfortunately, are prone to get infected with COVID-19. So most of them are living either on the streets or in shelters.
Yes. And I mean, we see this image here of presumably a father and son there, now newly homeless. And for so many of these families, although there are challenges in life, they were getting by, but this has just put them from being poor into extreme poverty and not having a place to live. And that just jeopardizes the chance to have the community development that will allow for a life that is sustained individually rather than with having this outside assistance. And so this disaster response right here, can you tell me more about what you see here that's happening?
Yeah, right now, World Vision, our immediate response, it's to deliver food rations, food vouchers, clean water, mattresses and blankets, also sanitation kit to all of those areas that were damaged by the hurricane. So everything is being received here in Tegucigalpa at the main office, and it's being distributed to all the affected areas through our area development program. Our sponsorship team is monitoring our children through our extensive volunteer network. So that way we can assure our children well-being in the communities and see if they need any other support, you know, from the ones they already receiving from World Vision.
And I know, Johnny, as we've been talking about how the country has been significantly impacted from the hurricanes, there already have been enormous economic impacts because of coronavirus. There's been lockdowns in the country. People have not been able to get to their jobs. Now, some of that has been lifted because of the hurricanes. So there's less restrictions on movement, but people were already in a rough spot. Can you tell us about what the impacts have been with coronavirus?
Yeah, well, there right now, even before when coronavirus started, and right now there is a big risk of hunger. Entire families are facing food insecurity, and there is a big mass of unemployment, plus the loss of livelihoods in the affected areas, you know. So World Vision's response right now and during COVID was to equip frontline health workers by delivering biosecurity equipment, hygiene kits, and other essential supplies in health centers. That way, like if one of the community members got infected by COVID-19, the health center will be equipped to attend this family or children. Also, in the field, World Vision, it's making direct deliveries to families of food ration and agricultural kits so families could grow their own food. But unfortunately, the crops were lost due to the impact of the Hurricane Eta and Iota. So that's how we are right now.
And I see in this image on screen right now, prayer. This has been an enormous part of our work, in addition to the humanitarian assistance, but to share the love of Jesus with people, to be able to pray. This has been such an emotionally and spiritually taxing time, I'm sure, and also with huge impacts to education. What have you been doing with education and being able to connect students back in with the ability to learn?
So schools have been closed since March. And just for everybody to know, in Honduras, the school year goes from February to November. So right now they finished the school years. But starting March, when the schools got closed, teachers had to teach their classes online. But unfortunately, not everyone in Honduras has access to internet or smartphones. So what World Vision did was to distribute study guides. So as you can appreciate in the picture, so that children can continue studying and learning from home. These guides were focused on 4 topics like math, science, social studies, and Spanish.
Also, I think that the ability just to zero in and to be able to connect students like this and with the basics, I mean, we've got to get back into this core of what a family needs, a community needs to try to get beyond that. Anything else you'd like to share?
Yeah, and well, right now, like due to the impact of Eta and Iota, there are no schools and children will not be able, since some of them are homeless, to go to school. So World Vision is establishing around 80 temporary learning spaces, so that children and teenagers finish their school year and continue their studies at these shelters.
Wow. We have to pivot. That's the word of 2020, to be able to try to figure out how to do life well in spite of these obstacles. So thank you so much for sharing us some of what's been done as the response to the hurricanes and to coronavirus. Now, I'd like to transition into the other part of our time together today, our tour across the country. And to do so, we're going to have people join us in this trip. In the virtual audience there in the chat, you could see these fine individuals, Dr. Mike Chen, Erik Ellefsen, and Jenny Brady. So you could say hello to them there in the chat. So recently, these esteemed school and educational leaders joined Johnny and I as we saw different experiences around the country. So as you watch this, feel free to throw some questions, thoughts into the chat. What are you thinking and feeling as you see this? What would you like to know? Well, without further ado, let's get going. So from the city to the country and everywhere in between, let's go on our journey.
Johnny, I would love to introduce you to my friends. This is Dr. Mike Chen, head of school at Pacific Bay Christian School in California. Mike and I traveled to the Philippines together. His school is part of Ignite, and he is a big believer that relationships are key to transformation.
Nice to meet you, Mike.
Very nice to meet you, Johnny.
Yeah.
Very nice to meet you.
And one of Mike's close friends, Erik Ellefsen, he is a friend and thought leader in Christian education, senior fellow at the Center for the Advancement of Christian Education. Did I get that right, CACE?
You got it right.
So CACE has been instrumental in developing our curriculum, and he's kind of like Kevin Bacon. If you know Erik, you probably know the entire rest of the Christian education community. So Erik knows everyone.
Johnny, great to be with you. Thanks for having us.
Thank you for inviting me. I'm just happy to be here and excited.
And last but not least, we have Jenny Brady of Prestonwood Christian Academy in Texas. She's the director of diversity, and she also believes in relationships, and that relationships are really the key to understanding other people, and especially relationships across culture. But Johnny, you might be especially interested in the fact that Jenny spent her formative years in your home country.
Yeah, I'm excited to hear about that, actually.
Yeah, I'm definitely a catracha by heart, if not
Oh,
by
that's
blood.
awesome. Where are you from in Honduras? Where do you live in Honduras? Sorry.
Yeah, so I grew up in El Atillo, which is the mountain right outside of Tegucigalpa, and that's where I went to high school also. Yeah.
Oh, nice. Well, I went to international school, so I kind of like know a lot of people from Pinares and El Atillo. So
Yeah, I think we were competitors then, right? We were always in competition against each other.
that's totally true. Our schools were all the time in competitions.
Johnny, I gave Jenny a heads up that you would be showing us one of the delicacies of Honduras, anafre, and she was thrilled.
Oh, yes. Yes, that's for sure.
For everyone watching, we're going to go around the country, and that's one of the things that we will show you during this journey. So thanks in advance for showing us around, Johnny. And we're going to start this journey together in an urban context. World Vision helps people across Honduras. We're actually in about 100 countries around the world. But in Honduras, we're going to show you the impact very close to where you live, Johnny.
Welcome to Honduras. I am thrilled that you're here with me and I get to be your guide today. I love my country and I will give you the insider's tour. Let's begin in Tegucigalpa, our capital city. In some neighborhoods, we need to be very careful because of the gang activity.
Then we will head out to the city, to a rural community. I know you will love it. It's just beautiful. First, let me tell you about me. I started with World Vision back in 2011, working with the child sponsorship team. I love child sponsorship. Like you, I love children. But so far, all of my children are dogs. This is my favorite, Luna. I take World Vision donors to see the work we do to bring healing and hope to this beautiful country. I always tell them this, and I'll share this advice with you. While in Honduras, turn off the rest of the world. Don't look at your phone. Don't think about anything that might distract you. Be present. This may be the one chance you get to visit. My country, it's a place I love. It's so beautiful. The people are so warm and kind. And the food, well, the food is great. Later, I will share a recipe with you for my favorite Honduran dish, anafre. But Honduras is a place that can be so challenging to live in. I'm so grateful that you care about my country and that you want to connect your students to our challenges, to help them think outside their worlds. This is a picture that may shock you. It's a boy breathing fire in the middle of a crowded street in Tegucigalpa, hoping drivers will give him money. There are many desperate children who live here.
Because of poverty and broken relationship with their families, they are on their own, or they form new families in gangs. There are few things more dangerous for a teenager. I want to introduce you two young men and a young woman who told us their stories, how life on the street nearly broke them.
As you watch, will you do a couple of things? First, get a pen and a paper and write down their names. Then, next to their names, write down what poverty and broken relationship led them to consider. Write down what changes came into their lives once they became connected to our Youth Ready program. Finally, will you write down the name of any kids you know who remind you of these three? It might inspire you to reconnect with them and find out how they're doing. It's amazing the difference a teacher can make in a student's life. Their stories could be the story of any of us. Take a look.
la cara de las personas cuando esa sonrisota que ponen cuando miran que la lata está blanca y sale un color verde, un color rosado.
Como yo desde que empecé a trabajar en el restaurante a los 15 años, yo decía algún día, porque me gustaba, siempre me ha gustado lo de la comida, entonces yo decía, algún día voy a tener mi negocio, pero no sabía cuándo.
Ayudarle a un doctor a detectar una enfermedad que pueda quitar una vida o ayudarle a un doctor a que pueda suministrar un medicamento que pueda salvar una vida, eso es gratificante.
Bueno, nuestros jóvenes acá en Honduras y en los contextos en vías de desarrollo, que son los que nosotros trabajamos, se enfrentan una a la parte de la inseguridad, la otra a la falta de empleo o generación de ingresos, al igual la desintegración familiar. Y yo creo que lo más es la parte de la inseguridad, porque de muy poca edad ellos influyen y los tratan a llegar a ellos.
Que miraba la vida de otra manera. ¿Me entiendes? Como yo en mi mundo solo era yo. Para mí no era nadie más. Estaba en un círculo donde solo estaba yo. Tenía problemas, solo yo los podía resolver. Tenía un caos en mi cabeza. Un caos en mi cabeza. La mayoría de mis amigos están metidos en ello. Y la verdad, uno que fue de mis amigos más cercanos, que nos crecimos como hermanos, él estuvo en ese grupo. Él estuvo pagando una condena. Salió y no sé qué lo llevó, ¿verdad? Pero él decidió quitarse la vida. Y entonces se ahorcó y ese fue su vida, pues 21 años igual que a mí.
Sí, desesperada, sin esperanza, sin ninguna salida. Pues para mí la salida y el refugio era el alcohol, porque no hallaba con quién platicar mis problemas. Porque hubo un momento de que yo pensé, no solo uno, sino que varios, en suicidarme, en matarme, pues por los mismos problemas, pues.
Pues desde muy pequeño era muy introvertido, pero poco a poco me fui haciendo de amistades y uno pues ya en grupo pues ya pierde un poco más el miedo. Cuando menos acordé pues ya era parte de otro mundo, de un mundo diferente. Y terminé sumergido en drogas, fui parte de asaltos y bueno, toda una vida de la que no estoy nada orgulloso y ellos proveen trabajo, proveen calor de familia, proveen amistad, proveen todo lo que un joven necesita, o al menos nosotros los jóvenes creemos eso, que es exactamente lo que ellos nos ofrecen, lo que necesitamos. Lo que necesitamos es la manera de salir, la manera de aprender algo nuevo.
When you live in this kind of environment, you know, one of the things that you don't have are choices. You don't have choice. Many of those kids are forced to be involved in gangs or are forced, you know, fleeing to other places. So that we are giving them is the option. First, we work inside them, reinforcing their self-esteem, repairing all the wounds that they have because of the violence. And then they have 3 different options that we call path of life. One of them, it is getting a job, in a formal job, you know, in a business. Second one, start a business by themselves. And the third one, going back to the school.
Era nuevo para mí, porque la verdad yo antes era serio, callado, exageradamente, no hablaba. Y la verdad en esos talleres me ayudaron bastante en esa parte de desenvolverme, pues, de saber mis virtudes, mis vocaciones, pues, para qué soy bueno y descubrirme yo mismo. Nada, y porque ustedes saben que vivimos en este país, uno sin que tenga alguien que hable por usted adentro de una empresa, no consigue trabajo. World Vision es una fundación muy reconocida en el país y a ellos los escuchan, ellos hablan por nosotros. Y entonces me llamó Daisy que estaba listo para una entrevista. Yo le dije a ella, entrevista, le digo, ¿de qué? ¿De trabajo? De verdad, sí
La historia de Marcia a mí me gusta bastante y me causa risa.
cuando él vino, era de lo, y yo lo entrevisté, ya, relax, ¿verdad? Yo tranquila, no, tranquilo, siéntese. Tranquilo, no pasa nada, le digo, porque temblaba y sudaba, sudaba. Y realmente no era muy abierto. No, hombre, ahora hasta lo buscan. Ahora, sí, él preguntan, y no está Marcio. Aprendió así. Pues cuando me dijeron emprender, a mí me interesó mucho. Desde ese momento yo empezaba a ir con la niña de miércoles a viernes, me acuerdo yo, y sábado y domingo iba al colegio. Mi negocio se llama La Cocina de Heidi, pues ahí yo vendo chuletas, pinchos, pupusas, golosinas como ser tajadita, yuca, papa, tacos, pastelitos, y gracias a Dios me va bien. Mi niña es todo para mí. Es la que me da la fuerza. Es la que me motiva a seguir adelante. Mi sueño es verla a ella, pues, triunfar y en un futuro que sea una buena mujer, pues, y apoyarla hasta que sea viejita, yo creo yo, apoyarla. Y ya que a mí no me apoyaron, pues, trabajar duro y para que ella cumpla su sueño, lo que ella quisiera, pues.
La lista es un poco amplia. Bueno, en este tipo de grupo, pues fallar no es una opción. Pensé yo que esto voy a hacer toda la vida, o a esto me voy a dedicar, de esto va a vivir mi familia. Y no lo vi correcto. Sinceramente no lo vi correcto y creí que estaba mal. Yo me vi desde otro cuerpo y estaba mal. Cursaba mi último año de preparatoria. Se presentó la oportunidad de pertenecer a ese proyecto. Antes de terminar la preparatoria no sabía hacia dónde iba a dirigirse mi camino. Gracias al proyecto me lograron encaminar por el camino correcto y hoy ya estoy a punto de finalizarlo. La verdad que eso me inspira a esforzarme mucho más, a que mi hijo tenga un buen ejemplo, a que no se vaya a quedar con la imagen que todo el mundo puede que recuerde de lo que fue antes. Pues sí, al principio me pareció algo irónico. Cuando escuchaba la explicación de la doctora que nos impartía la clase, me detuve a pensar, esto salva vidas y yo antes contribuí a dañarlas. Y recuerdo que me quedé ahí solo viendo, o sea, prácticamente no escuchaba nada y solo pensaba, tenía razón, quizá con esto pueda volver un poco del daño que hice. Quizá con esto, quizá no pueda reivindicarme del todo, pero paso a paso puedo ir cambiando lo que hice.
Hay respuesta, pues. Hay respuesta de un antes y un después, de cómo era antes y el ahora, pues.
Bueno, creo que si hubiese continuado dentro de este grupo, pues las únicas dos salidas que hubiese podido tener sería o preso o muerto. Y no estaría contando la historia en este momento.
Bueno, la verdad, yo la vida antes la miraba como que salí y saber si vas a entrar o no vas a entrar. La miraba así como que estaba más a manos de la muerte que quizás a manos de la vida. La verdad, lo que me encerraba más a mí, eso eran mis pensamientos, que lo miraba diferente. Me gustaba más lo gótico, lo negro, no sé por qué era. Ahora ya lo miro diferente, ahora miro colores.
That was quite an experience, Johnny. Thank you for connecting us with these people, for showing us the Youth Ready program and the impact on lives. What an impact, from gangs to stability, from unemployment to employment and a future.
Actually, I had some instructions, so I want to ask you who actually wrote down their names and were they? Okay.
Well, I got Marcio.
Yeah. You did.
Ronnie.
So we got Ronnie, Marcio, and Heidi.
There you go, man. There you go.
Boom. All right.
So what difficulty did you see, through these circumstances?
I think with the broken relationships and the lack of, there's really kind of a lack of hope, a lack of a future that they see for themselves, and that kind of desperation of not knowing what to plan for, not knowing if there is a life after growing up.
Okay.
Yeah, and that kind of broken relationship, you're trying to find other things to fill that up, but unable to, right? So Ronnie, lacking the relation, kind of a supportive network, and I think what's available is around him is gang, but that's not gonna do any good. So, and that just compounded the sense of hopelessness.
Hopelessness. There was, in particular, I think two things that I noticed, in the conversations was not seeing a future, or I love the comment that I think Marcio talked about was, it was kind of, he thought he was closer to death than he was to life, right? And so the lack of opportunity, the lack of really, when Jenny and Mike talk about hope, right, is the opportunity to live, a full life.
And how you believe that they overcome through this all of these circumstances? What needed to be true in their life to overcome all of this?
I think they needed to believe in something. They needed something bigger than their current situation and their current experiences. And I love how World Vision gave them that, a chance at employment, a chance at a future, a chance at providing for a family that they hope to have.
Opportunity, right? Opportunity to do something that, they cared about. Or opportunity to serve others, really came across, whether it was their own children, and providing a better opportunity for their own children, or whether it was, through the work that they were getting to do.
Right, and also just the people that they can trust, right? The kind of, relationship, because you want relation, you talk about, a sense of being alone, loneliness and isolated, even though you're in a sort of community, but because the lack of trust, or knowing that in connection to, say, folks who may or may not be able to offer you something lasting or substantive, and you begin to retreat more. And so in contrast, I think World Vision folks there are developing that kind of authentic relationships where it exemplifies hope, exemplifies what's possible rather than what's not possible.
I also had another request, before you saw all of these stories in Honduras, and that request was to reflect on your own students or young people you may know that probably these kids reminded you of. And without saying their names, do you see any corollary stories, any similar stories or students at your school, that can relate to this story too? I don't know, Mike or Jenny.
Yeah, I mean, I know I know that one student who very close to when I was out in Boston with a school, and then eventually the student came into our lives and well connected. First thing I asked him when he first came into our house and our family's life, I said, "What's your vision for life?" And he said, "Well, I don't really have one. I always thought that by age of 18 I'll either be dead or be in prison." So that was really what showed up in this video. You got somebody who also said that, and that really hit home. That kind of lack of vision, and that's to no fault of their own, is really just is in their circumstance.
Yeah, I'm in a little bit of a different situation in that my students probably have more opportunities than they can maybe count. And so it's trying to figure out what God has given them a passion for. And so as I was watching the video, one student came to mind. I had the privilege of taking her to Honduras with me a few times. And Honduras has given her a passion. And so she is now living in Honduras and working there because that is where she met God in a new way, in a different way, and is able to work alongside the people in Honduras now. So for my students, it's multiple opportunities, but a lack of passion for anything in particular. And so I'm grateful for experiences that World Visions provides with Ignite in other ways, so that it's not just a one trip that I get to take a student on for a week. It's a continual experience and relationship building with people around the world to build that passion in our students.
Happy to hear that. Believe me.
When we see the lives of these young people and the lives that we have lived, it's tough to relate directly. So getting to know their stories at a deeper level and not just seeing those people living over there, but actually understanding this is Ronnie, this is Haiti, this is so. Being able to have these personal stories and keep this in our minds and our hearts, it's powerful. And I love that this is showing that it's not one thing, one silver bullet that gets people out of poverty, one experience. It's in the investment of lives. This takes time. It's love for neighbors. This is at the core of the Great Commandment. Thank you for sharing those stories. And I'm looking forward to where you're going to take us next, Johnny. So love for neighbors, it comes from a deep place of faith.
Youth Ready and its 3 tracks, employment, entrepreneurship, and education, is working great for young people to get them out of gangs. But how can you break the cycle before it begins? That's where our Christian Discipleships come in. We work with teachers who, as you may know, may be the only truly loving parents that kids will ever have. You know the impact of a strong spiritual foundation. We see that power too. Our program, Parenting with Tenderness, is used with Tegucigalpa's heroes, teachers who fight to keep kids out of gangs, and the city pastors who work with Sunday school teachers to do the same. My good friend Nadia Castro, whose mother used to be the national director of World Vision Honduras, and who now works with me taking donors to see our work, explains.
One of the reasons I was drawn to World Vision is because it's Christian. Our Christian faith motivates everything we do. Our staff begin each day with devotions to give that day to God. We know that in Him, everything is possible. In Honduras and around the world, our Christian discipleship programs focus on children. We're helping parents learn to raise their children with love, with tenderness. Today we sat in on a session as our Christian discipleship coordinator, Luatani Nolasco, taught teachers how to listen with love. The curriculum she uses is based on Christian principles. The teachers learn to act as parents to children who are at the most impressionable ages, a time when choices are made. They are here to listen, speak with truth and love, and remember what it's like to be a child. More happens here than just learning. These sessions become support groups. The teachers share really tough stories with Luatani and one another, about gang members in schools, about kids coming from broken homes. These teachers are the unsung heroes of Honduras. Teaching is never an easy job, and these teachers have it real hard. At the end of the session, teachers write their comments on what was best about the training. One teacher simply wrote, Jesus. In Honduras, kids need strong families. Otherwise, they may join families made up of gang members. World Vision's Christian discipleship programs help guide them to the choice that will lead to a full life. they teach their students, they teach parents too. We also work with pastors who share this curriculum with Sunday school teachers. Our goal to give kids an option instead of joining a gang to find love and acceptance. We want them to find it in their families and not on the streets.
Johnny, it was so cool to see not only teachers engaging individually with students, but seeing this as family engagement for families to be strong to try to beat out the pressures of the gangs.
Yes, that's for sure. That was great to see parents stepping up and being investing, working to get better, and showing them how to express truth and love, you know. So in these circumstances where kids are in danger or falling into their own crowd, when there are stress of poverty, how do you see faith play a role as the students are searching for their place?
Yeah, no, I think faith, specifically with our Christian faith, looking at Jesus, Jesus demonstrate ultimately the definition of love, and love, at least how I understand Jesus' example is of love is demonstrated through knowledge, knowing the people that he loves, and also commit to them, right? So it's based on the knowledge and the commitment. And so in a way that what was demonstrated through, the foundation of faith that animates through the lives of these Christian teachers, and also through World Vision, is then to say we want to not just look at children coming to school as just these bunch of kids, but rather we get to know them. You see the image of teachers sitting with a group of kids, and that deep knowledge and the connection with these kids. And the unsung hero part is their commitment, their daily commitment to say, we're in this for the long haul. That to me is exemplifies what Christ's love is.
Thank you.
If I could add to that, Johnny, is I think, you see in there, Mike touches on that with the teachers, is that so much of it is family, right? Is that these teachers in this discipleship opportunity and is in many ways an opportunity for them to be invited into a larger family.
Seeing how the faith goes along with the teaching is so beautiful for me, as it reminds the kids that they were created perfectly and wonderfully and for a purpose. And I think that's so important when we work with children, especially, is reminding them that God put them there for this exact time and this exact family and this exact place for his glory. And I think that is really what gives kids motivation for the future.
Thank you for showing us that, Johnny, and that it's not just the investment in children, but the investment in parents, families, communities, to where we can rise up together to see something different. So, Johnny, you have something else prepared for us here. And if you have any Dramamine, I don't know, I have to take Dramamine if I'm ever traveling a long distance, windy roads, etc. So if you have any of that, pop some virtual Dramamine, because we're going to go up into the mountains and into the country and meet some farmers, and also learn about the beast and how we are equipping people in this community to see something different.
Poverty doesn't just exist in urban settings in Honduras. Young people who live in the country face difficult futures, sometimes no future at all, because they can make a go of it. It caused one of the greatest movements of all time, from south to north, as people look for work.
It can be a dangerous journey. Some ride what is called the beast, the trains that travel through Mexico to the US. They call it the beast because they say it eats arms and legs when people fall from the train. And here's the thing, people don't want to leave. Honduras is home. That's why we work with farmers to help them grow crops,
creating farms that go beyond subsistence. We help them turn farming into businesses. And we also make sure that communities in Honduras have the clean water they need for drinking and for agriculture.
Let's leave Tegucigalpa and travel east to Llamastrand to find out more.
Visión Mundial, como uno de sus principales indicadores, es llevar agua a las comunidades y que esto sea el comienzo para empezar a desarrollar el tema empresarial o económico en las comunidades. Esto es la base para empezar todo el proceso de desarrollo en una comunidad. Era una situación difícil porque la gente no tenía ni siquiera agua para tomar. Eso agudizaba el problema porque ellos no tenían posibilidades de producir porque no tenían agua. Primero, niños con problemas de desnutrición, con problemas estomacales, con problemas en la piel y la gente toda con ganas de irse a buscar una oportunidad de vida.
Claro, usted sabe que el camino hacia Estados Unidos pues, es súper difícil. Aquí hay personas que nosotros conocemos que han perdido miembros, otros que han perdido la vida, ¿verdad? Y esa es la preocupación de nosotros como padres, ¿verdad? Que alguien emigre para otro país y realmente que lo vayamos a perder. Igual, como les decía, conozco a José Luis, conozco su vida y sí, realmente fue uno de los que intentó, ¿verdad? No pudo, pero gracias, ¿verdad? A este programa, este proyecto y la mano amiga, realmente ahora es un productor exitoso.
Todo comenzó a través por medio de los proyectos de la PAVO con las ayudas de Visión Mundial, con la perforación de pozos. Sí, ahora tenemos sistemas de riego donde nosotros podemos trabajar y sustentamos nosotros y damos bastante empleo. Pero como decía, ¿verdad? Vuelvo a tocar el tema de lo que decidí emigrar por lo que no hay oportunidades. Y ahora que estamos en la hortaliza, pues ya hay mejores ingresos. Ahora ya no hay intermediario, ahora estamos vendiendo los productos directamente al mercado.
Al traer Visión Mundial Agua a las comunidades, ayuda a crear un vínculo entre World Vision y las comunidades. El hecho de que las personas tengan agua limpia y segura en casa ayuda a pensar, a tener emprendimientos en sus casas y ayuda a que las personas no migren a otros países. Sí, es una situación completamente revertida, lo podemos ver, es visual, pero el 80% de la gente quiere quedarse en la comunidad porque sabe que con un capital, semilla o con instrumentos y con conocimiento puede producir la tierra. Esa es una ventaja que no la teníamos.
That we have seen, when you find opportunity in your country, you don't want to leave. You want to remain here with your family, in your neighborhood, with your friends. You don't want to leave. We have beautiful families, in US. They are doing an amazing job to bring in hope to the people here in Honduras. So I want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart.
Por supuesto que el trabajo que yo hago sí me pone más cerca de Dios, porque en su misma palabra dice que el que le hacemos a uno de sus pequeños es como se lo estemos haciendo a ellos. Nuestra causa como organización son los niños, y que los niños tengan sus padres en su país, eso no tiene precio.
Estos proyectos abren no solo una puerta, sino 10 puertas al mismo tiempo, para que jóvenes como yo y como otras personas que están allá afuera esperando por este proyecto podamos prosperar, podamos hacer que nuestras familias salgan adelante, y así contribuimos a evitar la migración. Si la gente viera que hay un cambio verdaderamente positivo dentro del país, si se dieran más plazas de trabajo, si educaran más a sus hijos, la gente no se iría. La gente no buscaría otra cosa. Nuestro país es bello.
Johnny, that is so beautiful out there. And I'm struck by what Ronnie said. this is not just opening up one door, it's like opening up 10 doors. It's this process to where opportunity just comes when you're investing in some fundamentals of life. But thank you for showing us all around and getting a glimpse at what is happening there in Honduras. And just speaking of life in Honduras, you know, you and Jenny, you got a connection here.
Yeah, we do actually. Yeah, I mean, Honduras is a beautiful country, and I bet, I don't know, Jenny, if you remember, like, what do you like about living in Honduras? I mean, I bet you want to come back to Honduras. That's for sure.
I absolutely do, and I try to go back several times a year. Honduras is my favorite place to visit and to spend time. The people of Honduras are incredible. And so as I watch that video with migration, one of the things I've always struggled with is people leaving Honduras as I try and go there so often. So what I love that World Vision is doing is creating those jobs so that people will want to stay in their country. And I think it provides that generational change, like we mentioned before, and that it just creates opportunities, and it creates for those incredible people in Honduras to remain in Honduras and help change their country and impact their country. So I love to see what World Vision's doing. I love to go to Honduras and travel all around the country and meet those people that, as you said, are beautiful people.
Yeah, and actually, I mean, people, they don't want to leave Honduras. They love their country. And just as we were talking before, they just need one opportunity, you know? And just as Ronnie was mentioning, one opportunity opens tons of doors around. So yeah, it's just great, you know? And how do you see, like, in these stories, the value of mentorship? Why do you think it's so important?
Yeah, I think it's mentorship and discipleship, right? It's part of the gospel and how we lead people to changing lives. And so I think it's extremely impactful. I see what World Vision is doing, and they're not just changing one life, they're changing communities, and they're changing a country, hopefully. They're giving opportunities, they're giving hope, and they're giving the chance at a better future. And so I'm excited to see how that plays out down the road, even with my students here in the United States, and what opportunities they'll have to see the impact in Honduras.
We talk about maybe a lack of opportunity, and so you just, you know, maybe just do something different, or, you know, kind of make a small change or a small adjustment. But the desperation that kicks in because of the lack of water that leads to the lack of, you know, to ill health or lack of opportunity, then you see the immense amount of desperation, and you hear it in people's voices about how much they love their communities and their country, and that they're just desperate for something. And so they'll risk their lives and getting on that train and seeing what's available to them, someplace that they don't know anything about.
Yeah, and actually, that's the thing, you know, the lack. You mentioned the lack of opportunities, right? But then World Vision comes in the community and gives one opportunity, you know, access to clean water, a water project to a community. That opportunity opens one door. Now, with the access to clean water, they can build an irrigation system. That's a second door, right? Now they can grow different type of food, you know, instead of corn and beans, they can diversify projects, tomatoes, cucumbers, lettuce, etc. With that, they are making better quality products. Now, a third door is open, access to markets, you know, which means a better income for that families. With that income, all of these families can give a better life to those children, such as better health, better education, you know, and a better lifestyle. So those are the things, you know, that Ronnie was mentioning in opening different doors with one opportunity.
Johnny, that was a great explanation about just fundamentals of community development. So Thank you for expounding on that, because we're getting at the root issues, but it's opening up broader and broader opportunities to where you're able to see the fullness of life. So Thank you for that. And if you've been on a trip to another country, you know that you have to experience not only seeing the programs, the projects, and everything. You need to see the culture. You need to taste the culture. And Johnny, you have a delicious idea for how to experience Honduras.
Now, I want you to taste some of our delicious food. Sometimes I have to go on a diet because the food here is so good. This is my favorite dish of all time, anafre.
Hi, so today we're going to be learning how to make an anafre. And as you can see inside or below this, there is a very hot coal. And right up here, you put like, well, this is fried beans along with, we call it chorizo, but it's a sausage. And we put some chips on it. And aside from chips, you can also see that there's melted cheese, or we call it quesillo. It's a very Honduran traditional appetizer. I really do enjoy it. And yeah, most, okay, sorry for the interruption, but most of Honduras taste it. Right here we have Nadia, who's going to enjoy her carnita asada, or how we call it, grilled meat. Carrie right here, she's having, I don't know, I think that's my lunch, actually. My taco salad with a big crazy diet. And I'm going to be having an horchata because Nadia told me that lemonade was very sweet though. Thank you. And as you can see, we have the anafre boiling right here. So I hope it doesn't burn. And we're going to taste it a little bit. Like, here's the melted cheese with some sausage and amazing.
Jenny, what do you think? I mean, I bet this brings you right back there. And I know for me, I mean, it's lunchtime. Wow.
Yeah, so it's supposed to be an appetizer or a side dish, right? But I've been known to have that as my main course and not to share it with the entire table that it's supposed to be shared with. So it's definitely one of my favorites.
Yeah, Honduras, it's beautiful. And what can I say? You know, we have disasters and coronavirus, but being people long-term, that's what make a difference, you know. When we have trust, and that's often when we can definitely, you know, see Jesus, you know, in what we do, in the people, we can definitely see Jesus.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's building those long-term relationships, those single open doors that open up other doors to where we're able to see communities transform, starting with individual families and people, and eventually a country transform. So thank you so much for showing us around, Johnny and Jenny and Mike and Eric. A pleasure having you along on this journey. Thanks.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Johnny.
Thanks, Johnny.
Thank you, guys.
Well, it is lunchtime again. So we recorded that at lunchtime, and my lunch, I think, was it was yogurt and granola. So that anafre is looking so good. So that's a lot of the feedback that we got there at the end, Johnny. Yeah. So hopefully you're going to be able to get some of that great food sometime soon.
Probably very soon. I haven't had lunch yet, so I'm thinking of it. So.
Excellent. Well, thank you for your time, Johnny, for everyone who has joined us. I'm going to pray as we close today and just everything that we've seen. So if you don't mind, just a moment. Lord, thank you for Johnny, for Nadia, for the entire team at World Vision Honduras. Thank you for the way that you are working through this organization and through the lives of Marcio, Haiti, Ronnie, Jose, everybody that we saw in that video. We pray for them. We ask that you continue to move in their lives wherever they're at today, and to move in the lives of everybody on this webinar, the school leaders who are forging ahead in this uncertain time and saying, we need you in the future of our students, and we need to infuse your heart into the actions that our students take in the world today, because it shapes their lives moving forward. So thank you, Lord, for this time together. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
So if you have any questions, I'm sure you're talking with somebody at the World Vision Ignite team. So welcome you to reach out to them, and appreciate your time together today. So we'll send you a recording of this webinar, and God bless you as you teach your students and show them these important ways to live out their faith. Thanks.